Afghanistan's Taliban regime comes out in condemnation of Pakistan Air Force attacks that Afghanistan says has killed over a dozen civilians. Welcome to another episode of Let Ali Show You. Pakistan carried out early morning attacks in Afghanistan's Paktika and Nangarhar province, killing a number of civilians, including women and children. Afghanistan's information minister, spokesperson for the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, Zabiullah Mujahid, says that Afghanistan now reserves the right to avenge these killings. To get a better understanding of what's going on in the region, I'm joined by Ubaidullah Bahir. He's a senior analyst, also a lecturer at American University in Kabul in Afghanistan. Thank you so much for joining us, Ubaidullah. Let's begin with the facts on the ground. These attacks happened early morning. This is the month of Ramadan and is being observed in all of these areas. Tell us exactly what happened as per the information you have.
Assalamu alaikum, Ali. Good to be here. It's not a great day to be here. Last night at around 11 something p.m., Pakistani jets bombed multiple locations inside Afghanistan. The province that you mentioned is Paktika province, not Paktia. They're adjacent to each other. So in Paktika province, Bermal district, which was also hit by an earthquake quite a few years ago. I've been to Bermal, and it's funny because I saw certain analysts supposedly talking about this area being cordoned off and it being used as bases. I mean, you go to Bermal, you probably can find the pictures of the area on my profile still. It's a barren mountain, it's barely a few houses here and there. And Margha, which is adjacent to Bermal, was hit as well. Then multiple districts in Nangarhar province. And you saw the evidence, you saw the videos that came out. This isn't the first time these bombings have been conducted, all claiming to hit TTP hideouts, bases, and mostly it's hitting areas where Waziristani refugees were settled at a certain point. They were then moved away from those areas based on concerns from Pakistan. And you saw the videos. I mean, a madrasa was hit. That's basically what the United States used to label madrasas as training camps as well. And it's really unfortunate that Pakistani military is following in the footsteps of the United States. When has bombing civilians ever achieved any geopolitical ends? All it does is further complicate things and matters regarding cooperation, Ali. And you have to contextualize this as well, right? Pakistan is already facing a lot of trouble internally. The BLA-held soldiers are a major national concern, and felt like this was a deflection from that internal failure towards the same blame game where you take zero responsibility and everything is blamed on the Booby Yaga, the Baba Yaga, the boogeyman, which is supposedly Afghanistan and India in this case. But yeah, I mean, you saw a family that lost 17 to 18 members. There were 22 members in the household, and 18 of them were dead. They're still trying to find their buried ones. And this is Ramadan. They're probably sleeping, waiting to get up for Sehri. It makes sense to do such things when you convince people to the core that everything bad that is happening is being orchestrated in the mud houses in those areas by common Afghans. But we both know that's not the case. And this is just beating the chest and showing false bravado, which doesn't get us anywhere. And I'm happy to get into all the olive branches that were extended towards Pakistan leading up to this attack.
A few days ago, the Saudis mediated the release of 3 Pakistani servicemen, soldiers that had been captured months earlier by the Afghan Taliban. And the Afghan Taliban released them as an olive branch, as you were mentioning. Then we saw an attack in Pakistan's Bannu area, which borders or in the border region with Afghanistan, in which a Pakistani officer, a lieutenant colonel, was killed alongside another serviceman. And right after that, Pakistan said it was attacking these alleged terror camps, these madrasas. in which now it seems, and evidence has emerged, civilians have been killed. This is an ongoing process. Qatar was involved in mediation. Saudi Arab has been involved in mediation. Turkey has been involved in mediation between the two sides, but nothing seems to be working. Where does this escalation ladder then lead to, especially now that the Afghan Taliban spokesperson, the IEA spokesperson, Zabiullah Mujahid, is saying that there will be there will be a response?
I mean, the ladder leads down, it leads into the abyss, and both of us can't afford a war like this. But I mean, look, in international relations, being considered a rational actor is fundamental to your trust and your credibility in the world. And in a time where Afghanistan did multiple things as olive branches, be it the concern that was raised in Qatar and Turkey regarding a religious decree about fighting inside Afghanistan, inside Pakistan. And eventually the Taliban gathered 1,000 Islamic scholars inside the country, and they issued a declaration saying that there was no jihad inside Pakistan and people shouldn't join those ranks. You had multiple statements coming out from Nur Wali Masood to Hafiz Gul Bahadur to what was his name, the other guy as well, a branch of the TTP, who all came out and said, we are not based in Afghanistan. They try to clarify their stances. You have to also see the tensions between the Taliban, the TTP, and the Ahrar the Jaish al-Adl. No, it's it's the Ahrar, right? The ones who conducted the recent attacks. So just the fact that the TTP is actually showing willingness to find a negotiated outcome with all of that, and then the prisoners being released, conducting these attacks basically leaves very few options to the Afghan government. Also, I mean, you refer to them as the Taliban regime in Afghanistan. I don't think that's fair, because if we're talking about democratic elections and legitimacy of governance, then I don't think the Pakistani government then can be called that either. All in all, I mean, the Taliban are in power. They can control every inch of Afghanistan. Thing is, with regards to the TTP, there has to be a realization that solution is only political. It cannot be military. You cannot fight your people to oblivion. These people are not foreigners. They are people who have grown up within your territory. They are, and I mean, okay, let's just even dismiss the TTP. Then what are the BLA fighting for? Why are educated female doctors strapping bombs to themselves and blowing themselves against the military? These are questions worth asking, and the solution isn't to create a whole new enemy and open a whole new front in a time where there's enough turbulence inside that needs resolution. I mean, the Taliban have been more than willing, despite bad experiences in the past, to help facilitate a negotiation between the TTP and Pakistan. But and between us, the Pakistani authorities have signaled to certain partners that they're willing to go down that road. But I mean, you're only escalating my cost of cooperating with you by conducting such strikes. What face will I have left to come and sit down with you tomorrow? And where does it end? You hit me, I hit you, and where does it all go? Considering, does this help or hurt the TTP when you're bombing Afghan targets or civilians? You're basically giving more momentum to their rallying call. And you're increasing the hatred of the common Afghan, despite everything that we've shared in the past. Why throw water on all of that when there could be saner minds? And look, the past few months, actually, there were quite a few track 1.5 and track 2 initiatives that were talking about finding a way to have a more lasting ceasefire, finding a way to move forward, because this impasse doesn't help anyone. The trade blockade hurts traders on both sides. Both economies are being hurt. Security being bad on either side is bad for the region. And you just basically multiplied all these efforts by zero the moment you decided that military action was the way to go in the holy month of Ramadan, targeting a madrasa, targeting people's houses. What precedent does that set? How are you any different to what India did to you? How is this any different to what we're seeing in the Middle East and the barbarity being committed there? Where is international law? Where is the sense of neighborliness? Where is the sense of right and wrong at the base of it? You know, and I keep asking those who want to conduct military strikes or go to the military option. I say, what is the end game, Ali? There is no end game in sight. We both lose this war.
You mentioned the crisis of legitimacy that the Pakistan military backed government regime is facing inside Pakistan. It is also latched on to U.S. President Donald Trump's so-called board of peace on Gaza. There's negotiations there. Tell us a little bit, very briefly, very quickly, about the situation inside Afghanistan. Pakistan obviously paints as a monolith and blames the Afghan Taliban as an illegitimate regime that is controlling Afghanistan. Give us an idea of what the situation is economically, politically, socially in Afghanistan at this moment.
And between us, Ali, I've sat with authorities within my country, and I've told them time and again that the very same rhetoric that Pakistan uses against them, which is call them TTA or call them the regime. And in response, we had commentators who were labeling Pakistan as this military regime or puppet government, and I was against that. And I used to say that this is wrong. I mean, two wrongs don't make a right. So they are who, no matter what the process they came in through, they are de facto the ruling authorities in the country. Let's deal with them accordingly. Internally, it's their matter to resolve. But that being said, look, all you do by bombing Afghanistan in this way is give further strength to the Taliban. I mean, so it's, again, the whole rational thing. It's so counterintuitive when the point is to undermine the Taliban or get rid of them. You're actually empowering them by conducting these bombings because they look like the guardians of Afghanistan. The Durand Line clashes that happened in October were the biggest response in modern history from Afghanistan towards, in response to incursions from Pakistan. And that basically bolstered their position inside Afghanistan. Even their worst opponents are now saying, okay, these people are standing on our honor and defending it, so we stand by them. So considering all of that, Afghanistan's economy is actually improving. We've, like you would have imagined at a point in the past where if we shut down trade with Pakistan, when it was the minerals that were being sold here, from the chromite to the coal to whatever, half of the factories here were dependent on it, from our fruit to our vegetables too, because we had different seasonal fruit that would go back and forth. You would imagine, I mean, so much so as like the feed for our chickens came from Pakistan. So considering a complete blockade on the medication and on the food front, you would imagine our economy would have taken a much larger hit. But credit to the Taliban, they've been diversifying the countries they import from. A lot of our chicken feed is now coming from Central Asian countries. It's a tad bit more expensive. Obviously, in the shorter and long term, we will face some difficulties, but we're getting to a point where dependency on Pakistan is going to decrease. And look, let's not rewrite history as well, because a lot of times you hear from Pakistani analysts who say, oh, the Taliban have closed the gate and they refuse to trade. And this is the first time in history in the past 30, 40 years that Afghanistan has taken this step, whereas Pakistan has continuously done this over the years. And the whole point of the Taliban is, we don't want to politicize trade. You need to guarantee to me that you will not close the gate again in the future, and then we can resume to business as usual. That guarantee has not come through because the trade is being used as leverage in whatever political ends the Pakistani military wants to achieve. And who's paying the cost? It's the common people. It's the Pashtuns on either side of Durand Line, and doesn't really help the region, both countries, or international peace. With regards to Trump, my concern is that very often the involvement of the United States and their interest in the region or in Afghanistan specifically is overestimated. I don't think Trump is concerned. I think his shopping list is far too long for Afghanistan to be on it. Neither has Pakistan achieved anything tangible in return for all the investment and all the cozying up to Trump that we've seen in the past few years. What does it matter if he mentions the prime minister or the field marshal in a conference or two? What are the tangible benefits? Have you had increased trade? Are there investments in minerals that are happening? Is there counterinsurgency cooperation that's happening? It's not, right? versus the arch rival, which is India, which has preserved its pride to not buckle under Trump's infinite ego and forgo whatever dignity they have, right? So considering that Trump is not forever, Trump is going to go away and you will have another administration in his place. And the question must be asked, is it worth investing so deeply into a figure that is a fringe figure that probably will not have his thinking last beyond his presidency? Is a matter of concern. And with regards to Afghanistan, I think the only thing that is being exploited is the lack of interest of the United States or the lack of policy towards Afghanistan. And that gap is then exploited for Pakistan to take action militarily. But long story short, I think the blame is unfair. I think this general PR campaign that paints every attack by the TTP as an attack from Afghanistan, as if Afghanistan as a state and as a people are directly involved in it. If there is TTP presence, be it leadership or be it members, there has always been the argument of how difficult it is to police the border. If Pakistan, with its 10 times more checkpoints than Afghanistan, cannot patrol it, then the question is, how do you expect the other side to do it? So all of these are matters of concern, and they need to be addressed on tables instead of over violence and bombs.
Ubaidullah Bahir, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure. Take care.
Thank you for having me.
What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. Do like, subscribe, and share this content. I'll be with you next time. Till then, take care.